Welcome to Metric Hub. Today I'm going to do a revision on sales management in 5, which is a full paper revision, So let's go to question 1, which is in section A. Right. So 1.1, choose a term from column B that matches a term in column A. Write only the letter A to P next to the question number 1.11 to 1.15. Right. Right. 1.11. Right. Accurate written description of the duties and responsibilities of the incubate of a position. We call it a job description. So job description is on I. So the answer is I. Right. Any discussion about the duties and responsibilities, we call it what? A job description. A job description. Right. 1.12, travel plans or patterns used by salesperson when visiting customers. We call it routing, the router that is using. So routing is M, which is M. Right. Aspects such as specifications, dimensions, capacity, and design. We call them, this is what we call physical characteristics. So physical characteristics is on O. O. The answer is O. Right. 1.14, they select suppliers. Who select suppliers? You can find that the buyers are the ones who select suppliers. So buyers is the answer, which is N, Right. 1.15, salesperson getting the name of the family, friends, and acquaintances from every customer to whom he or she sells to. This is what you call endless chain strategy. Endless chain strategy, which is R. When a salesperson gets the names of the family and friends of customers. All right, let's go to 1.16. Salesperson intentionally acts as if this prospect agreed to buy the product. We call it assumptive clause. An assumptive clause when we assume that the client is going to pay, and then we act as if he's agreed to pay. Assumptive clause, which is K. Right, 1.17, criteria to qualify a prospect. Criteria to qualify a prospect, which is, the answer is authority to buy. Right, A. Right. Method that relies on answers from actual users regarding their intent to buy the product during a focusing period. Method that relies on answers from actual users regarding their intent to buy the product during the focus period. We call it users' expectation, which is J. Right. Supplementary service task of a salesperson. Right. Credit application. Supplementary service task of a salesperson, which is C. Credit application. Right. Let's go to 1.110. Technique based on every person's desire to receive gifts or something for free. Right. A technique based on every person's desire to, we call it a premium approach. A premium approach, which is G. Right. Marketing function. Which one is a marketing function? Right. Product planning. Product planning. It's a marketing function. Which is B, product planning. Right. And then we used it to control how sales personnel allocate their time and efforts among different activities, which is H, activity quotas. We call it an activity quota. Activity quotas, which is H. (1.113) Poor planning of daily activities. Or poor planning of daily activity. That's what the answer is. Poor planning of daily activity. We call it time traps. Time traps. Time traps. Time traps. Which is E. When a well-known person or association puts a stamp of approval on a product, that's what we call endorsement. Endorsement, which is D. Endorsement. D. Endorsement. At 1.115, place of sale, method of payment, or size of transaction may prevent the customer from buying. Right. So let's look for the correct answer. The correct answer is what we call inconvenience, which is F. Inconvenience, which is F. Which is F. Inconvenience. F. Whereby the method of payment or size of transaction may prevent the customer to buy the product. Right. Let's go to 1.2. 1.2. Give one term for each of the following descriptions by writing it next to the question number. Right. So 1.21, first step in effective and successful personal selling. We call it prospecting. 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 First step in effective and successful personal selling. Prospecting. 1.22. Objections that refer to a prospect's thoughts, processes, feelings, attitudes, values, and personality. We call it psychological objections. Psychological objections. So psychological objection. 1.23, technique known as code canvassing or door-to-door selling. A technique code known as code canvassing or door-to-door selling. That technique is what we call direct prospecting. Direct prospecting. When you go direct door-to-door selling. Right. Let's go to 1.34. Distress that an individual experiences when controlled with extra information which is in conflict with his or her current ideas. or values. We call it cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. One 1.25. Right. Total expected sales for a given product or service for the entire industry is in a specific market over specific period of time. We call it potential market. Potential, sorry, market potential. The answer is market potential. Market potential. Market potential. Right, let's go to question 1.3. Indicate whether the following statements are true or false. Right. If a client is prejudiced, it means that he or she has no idea what the product is all about. That's true. That's true. When you prejudice a client, it means that he or she has no idea what the product is all about. Right. 1.32, SABC is an example of a quality mark on a product. That's false. It's not a marking. It's not a trademark. Right. 1.33, politics, economics, laws, and regulations are examples of general business conditions that can affect the sales of a business positively or negatively. These are examples of general business conditions. That's true. That's true. They are business conditions, external conditions. 1.34, telesales increase sales cost. That's false. That's false. Does not increase sales cost. Rather, it increases what? Sales and profit. Right. 1.35, wrong time means that the prospect does not need a product. No, that's false. Does not mean that the prospect does not mean that the prospect does not need what? A product. It's just wrong timing. Right. Let's go to section B. Question 2. Question 2. Question 2. Section B, question 2. Right. The question reads 2.1. Which 5 aspects of industry knowledge should a salesperson familiarize him or herself with? So, a salesperson should familiarize himself with the history of the industry. History of the industry. And also, supposed to familiarize himself with this present developments in the industry, the present development of that industry. Supposed to also have the knowledge of the size and trends of the industry. And trends of the industry. Suppose also to have the knowledge about the size of the market share. supposed to have knowledge about the legislation that applies in that industry. Legislation. And lastly, the future tendencies. The future tendencies in the industry. The future tendencies in the industry. Right. So let's move on to question 2.2. 2.2. Question 2.2. Question 2.2. Question 2.2. Right. List in sequence the 5 steps in designing sales territories. Steps in designing sales territories. Step number 1. We're supposed to select the geographical control unit. Control unit. 2. We're supposed to analyze sales person's workload. 3. We're supposed to determine the potential, determine the sales of the potential, determine the sales potential in each control unit. In each control unit. Number 4, supposed to determine the basic territories. And lastly, which is number 5, we are supposed to assign salespersons to territories. We are supposed to assign salespersons to territories. Right. Let's go to 2.3. 2.3. 2.3. Give 3. Give 3. 2.3. Give 3 reasons for using a buying team. Reasons for using a buying team. 2.3. Give reasons for using a buying team. And so we can find that it lowers the risk involved. It lowers the risk involved. And also we can find that using sales team will protect the company brand. It also lowers the level of pressure, lowers the level of pressure in the buyer seller relationship, And lastly, it maintains competitiveness. It maintains competitiveness. It maintains competitiveness. Right. So let's go to 3.4. 3.4. What are 4 objectives of an effective source representation? We're going to talk about 4 objectives, right? 4 objectives of a source representation. Right. Right. We have 1. You're supposed to get the prospect's attention. After that, you're supposed to make sure that you make the prospect aware of his or her problem or needs. Make him aware of his needs, right? And after that, you're supposed to point out the advantages to the prospect of buying. Point out the advantages of buying the product or a service to the prospect. And then you're supposed to provide proof of advantage. Provide proof of the advantage. And lastly, you act on it. You act on it by asking for an order. Right. Right. Let's go to 2.5. Let's go to 2.5. Discuss each of the following closing techniques. So 2.51, we are having assumptive clause. Assumptive clause. 2.51, assumptive clause. It is when intentionally it acts as if, when a salesperson acts as if the prospective agreed. When we act as if the prospect is agreed to buy. Right, the product, right? So if the prospect does not stop you the sales transaction has been completed, right here. If the prospect does not stop him, the sales transaction has been completed. Completed. So sometimes it will be a matter of maybe a few minor matters, such as maybe color or size or the delivery, right? So let's go to 5.1.52, right, which is inducement, the inducement technique. The inducement technique is when 2.51. Here, the salesperson provides the prospect with a special motivation to buy. Salesperson provides the prospect with a motivation to buy the product, right? So the inducement holds a possibility, all right, that if the prospect does not buy immediately, he or she could lose something, right? That's what what will happen, or that what will be happening. So this clause or technique is used especially in the presentation where this prospect has been taken through all the stages, right? And you or she wants your products, but delays or cannot make a decision. Right, let's go to 2.53. 2.53. We're still on question 2.5, right? We're going to discuss this closing, what? Closing techniques, the emotional closing techniques, right? So we're going to discuss the emotional closing technique, right? So this technique normally is used or it works well because all decisions are based on feelings, right? For example, humans are scared of losing, their beloved ones. Prospects are scared of losing loved ones, right? So, or maybe are scared of losing their belongings, right? So this will give the prospect a strong drive to buy. This gives the prospect a strong drive to buy to buy the product because he's afraid that he will lose his belongings. Right. So the technique must never be used as a threat, though. Must never be used as a threat. All right. And also you can find that it works, this technique works well because all decisions are based on, all decisions are based on the feelings. Right. So the emotional closing is used, it is used only after other methods have failed. So it is used after all methods have failed. Right. Let's go to 3.4. 3.4. Sorry. 2.54. Right. 2.54, which is the standing room only technique. Standing room only technique. 2.54, standing room only technique. So this technique uses humans' natural tendencies to want what others have. Right. So it uses human natural tendencies to want what others have. To want what others have. Right. So it is against human nature to let an opportunity pass by, if that's the case. So, for example, if the prospect hears that there is only one article left, or that it has already been ordered, he or she usually wants it. Right. So that's how the technique works. Right. So this technique must only be used if the reason the salesperson gives is the truth. It only be used if the reason the sales technique gives is true. Right. Let's go to question 3. Question 3, 3.1. Which 5 aspects of product knowledge should a salesperson familiarize him or herself with? Right. 5 aspects. Right. So I'm going to just list the aspects and then I will explain. Question 3. Right. So the salesperson should familiarize himself or herself with the physical characteristics of the product. Physical characteristics. the product range, the product support, the product methods and uses, and processes, and also the product uses. So we're talking about the product characteristics, we are talking about the features. The features, the product features, the product features, design, capacity, etc. Right, when we're talking about the product ranges, we're talking about the composition of the product ranges. The product range was extended, etc. Product support, we're talking about after sale. We're talking about guarantees. Guarantees. We're talking about the conditions of the product, handling of defects, etc. And then the product processes and methods. We're talking about materials that are used to produce a product. Right, you're supposed to know the manufacturing process. And then product uses. We're talking about the how the product is used, or new uses for products. Right. Let's move on to 3.2. Give 4 objectives of sales quotas. Sales quotas, objectives of sales quotas includes 3.2, right? To provide quantitative performance, to obtain tighter cost of sales and expenses. Control. And lastly, to motivate desired performances. Right. Let's move on to 3.3. Which 5 pieces of information about a company should a salesperson collect when a prospect is not buying a product for himself or herself, but rather for or on behalf of a business. We're talking about 4 pieces of information that the salesperson should collect if the prospect is not buying for himself. Are you supposed to have the name and the address of the company? Also provide get information about the history about the business, supposed to have the future perspective of that business, perspectives of the business, supposed to have information about the industry competitors, supposed to have information about the operational function of the business. And let's go to 3.4, which 6 principles of an effective product demonstration should salesperson keep in mind when doing sales presentations. So we're going to talk about 6 we're going to write 6 principles of an effective product that the salesperson should take into consideration. Right. Supposed to have the plan, supposed to plan demonstration individually. Supposed to plan individually. Supposed to suit the sales talk, suits the sales talks, supposed to with the demonstration, supposed to cover the most important product features, We're supposed to get the prospect involved. We're supposed to demonstrate step by step. And we're supposed to maintain control and also we're supposed to close and follow up. Close and follow up the demonstration. Good. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your time. Don't forget to subscribe so that you'll be notified each time I post. Have a good day.